Good afternoon. Welcome to the November 4th, 2021 inaugural meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional District Board. I would like to call the meeting to order at 2:05 p.m. and acknowledge that the Sunshine Coast Regional District is within the territory of the Shishal and Squamish First Nations. Our first order of business will be the election of the chair. The procedure for election of the chair is set out by the Board Procedures Bylaw, which states that at each inaugural meeting, the corporate officer will call for nominations for chair and will conduct a vote by secret ballot. If only one candidate is nominated, that candidate will be declared elected by acclamation. I will call for nominations 3 times. At the close of nominations, if more than one candidate has been nominated, each will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board in favor of their candidacy, and in the order the nominations were received. If an election by voting is required, an election by electronic ballot will be held. Directors have been briefed on the procedure to submit an electronic ballot in advance of this meeting. Once the results have been recorded, we will inform the board if there is a successful candidate. A majority of votes of the members present is required to elect the chair, which means that one of the candidates must receive at least 5 votes in order to be elected. If no one receives at least 5 votes, the voting is repeated. When the voting is repeated, all names remain on the ballot unless a candidate or nominee withdraws. Are there any questions from the board relating to the process? Okay. Would the board members like to know how many votes each candidate receives? And if so, would one of the directors like to make a motion to that effect? Okay, hearing no questions and seeing no hands, I will call a first time for nominations for the position of chair for the Sunshine Coast Regional District. Director Pratt.
Thank you, Corporate Officer. I would like to nominate Director Toth, please.
Director Toth, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call for nominations for a second time for position of chair for the Sunshine Coast Regional District.
Put my hand up.
Director Lee.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to nominate Darnelda Seegers.
Thank you. Director Seegers, do you accept the nomination?
I do, thank you.
Thank you. I will now call for nominations a third and final time for position of chair for the Sunshine Coast Regional District. Seeing no more hands and having received 2 nominations, each candidate will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board prior to the election by ballot. The candidates are Director Toth and Director Seegers. Director Toth, as your nomination was first, I will request you speak first.
Thank you very much. So a year ago, I sat here and told you all that there was nothing in the world that would make me want the top seat at this board table. A year as vice chair has changed my mind. I've had an extremely productive relationship with Director Pratt, and I appreciate the way that she's relied on me over the last year. If elected, I'm going to be relying on my vice chair even more. With the workload involved, this isn't a job that anybody should be trying to do alone. In the last year of our term, I think it's critical that we keep our focus on water, solid waste, and developing our asset management plans. At this point, I believe that deviating from these priorities is nothing more than a distraction. Also, our staff need from us an assurance that we're going to stay the course in support of their extraordinary efforts over the last several years. It's my intention, if the electorate and my next council is willing, to be sitting at this board table in another year's time. Continuity of elected representatives is very important given the complexity of the issues we're dealing with around this hybrid meeting table. Also, our rural directors deserve all the support that they can get in order to finish the things that they've started. As a municipal councillor sitting here as a director, I don't have nearly the workload of the other directors, which gives me the ability to take this on. Of course, none of this would be possible without the support of my family. And it's for my daughter that I entered politics and choose to make the most I can every day. One of the things that I have appreciated, even as an alternate director, way back in 2018, is how all of you have included me in the SCRD activities. I want to emphasize how important it was and is that we have the maximum number of voices at any given table. As we continue to push forward with advocating for our region, be it water, affordable housing, solid waste, or lack of control over our rural issues, the province and the world need to know that this board of the Sunshine Coast Regional District is here, and we stand up for the needs of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Seegers, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. So I want to thank Director Lori Pratt for being chair of the Sunshine Coast Regional District for the last 3 years. I think we've all really appreciated your time, energy, and commitment. You've kept us on course, and in the face of the pandemic and the uncertainty and continually changing playing field, ensured we kept our eyes on the issues at hand. So we've made substantial progress on water, solid waste, emergency preparedness, to name just a few. I think we're all confident that the Church Road well site will be complete and in operation by the end of our term. So on behalf of the board and the staff of the SCRD, thank you. If elected as chair, I want to continue to build on the foundation that you've helped us establish. Over this next year, the last year of our term, staff will be focusing on moving forward and or completing the many projects already in the pipeline. And we know that we're also looking to the future for some of those, like solid waste. We as the board have the space to focus on board governance. We can turn our attention to reviewing our SCRD procedural bylaws, processes, and policies to ensure as board and staff, we've laid the foundation for the next incoming board. We have space to advocate with our local government partners, our regional district colleagues, and other levels of government on behalf of the Sunshine Coast and the many items outside our responsibility. We've made great progress in many areas, and there is still more work to do. I welcome the opportunity to lead the board over the next year. So directors, I ask you to vote for me as chair so we can move these and other items forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. The election has been activated, so directors may now proceed to their electronic ballot via the email link that was sent out prior to this meeting. There should be 2 emails in your inbox, so please ensure you choose the email that actually links to the chair electronic ballot as opposed to the vice chair election. Myself and the CAO will temporarily turn off our cameras while we tabulate results, and then we will report back to you once the voting is concluded. And we ask for the public's patience as there may be a slight delay while directors log in and register their votes. Thank you. Director Pratt and Director Paul, have you both voted? According to my records, everybody has voted, so I'm about to close the election.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Do we have waiting music?
I could sing again, but we know how disastrous that was before the board meeting started.
Thank you. We do have results. Based on the results of the vote taken, I declare Director Seegers as the elected chair of the Sunshine Coast Regional District. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I will now pass the meeting over to the newly elected chair to conduct the election for the vice chair.
Thank you. Do I know how to do this? She printed it out. I printed it out. I brought it along for whoever. Okay, so do I have to start right at the top? Okay. The election of the vice chair will follow the same procedure as the election of the chair. At the close of nominations, if more than one candidate has been nominated, each candidate will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board in favor of their candidacy and in the order the nominations were received. If an election by voting is required, directors will cast their vote by electronic ballot. A majority of votes of the members present is required to elect the vice chair, which means that one of the candidates must receive at least 5 votes, or the majority of those present, which is 5 in this case, to be elected. If no one receives at least 5 votes, the vote is repeated. When the voting is repeated, all names remain on the ballot unless a nominee withdraws. I will call a first time for nominations for the position of vice chair for the Sunshine Coast Regional District. Director Lee.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to nominate Director Donna McMahon as Vice Chair.
Thank you. Director McMahon, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I accept. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call for nominations for a second time. I will now call for nominations for a third time.
I'm not ready to vote, damn it.
There being no further nominations, I declare Director McMahon elected as Vice Chair of the Sunshine Coast Regional District by acclamation. Congratulations.
Take your seat.
Okay. All right. All right, at the beginning of this meeting, did we actually vote to adopt the agenda?
No, we did not.
Thank you. So we have an agenda in front of us. This is the regular board meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional District of Thursday, November 4th. Are there any errors or omissions, additions, deletions to the agenda? Looking for none, I'd look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Moving on to the first item, minutes of the regular board meeting of October 28th, 2021. This is Annex A, pages 1 through 12. Corporate Officer?
Thank you, Chair. Before the minutes are considered for adoption, staff would like to request that Resolution number 286-21, recommendation number 2 on page 3 of the minutes be pulled for reconsideration, and GM Hall can provide a bit of a rationale as to why we want to bring this recommendation forward.
Thank you. GM Hall?
Thank you, Chair. Staff were recently contacted by the applicant for the OCP and zoning amendment related to DL 1312 in Roberts Creek, indicating that they wish to withdraw the application. And so accordingly, your support to rescind the recommendation and a further motion that official community plan amendment bylaw 641.11 and zoning bylaw number 310.182 be abandoned is requested, please. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's on page 3 in our package, recommendation number 2. So I'd look for a motion to adopt the rest of the recommendations in the minutes. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And then let's address on page 3, recommendation number 2. This is 286/21, recommendation number 2. We'd look for a motion to abandon this recommendation. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Corporate officer.
Thank you, Chair. So the first action to rescind the resolution is recorded. Could we also have a resolution to actually abandon the bylaws?
Okay. So the bylaws, hang on, we probably need numbers of those. So that would be a motion to abandon bylaw number 641-11 2019 and zoning amendment bylaw number 310.182 2019. Someone like to move that? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Anything further, corporate officer?
That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes or unfinished business? All right, seeing none, we will move on to reports. I'd look for a motion to receive the reports and all of the communications. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Report Corporate and Administrative Services Committee recommendations numbers 1 through 10 of October 28th, 2021. Recommendation number 11 is previously adopted. This is item number 3 in Annex B, pages 13 through 15. Are there any of these recommendations that any of the directors would like to pull for separate consideration? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And we'll move on to communications. Our first letter is from the Honorable David Eby, Attorney General and Minister responsible for housing. We have a number of letters. We have 4 letters in here. Directors, did you want to address any of these letters and any of the information in the letters? Director Hiltz.
Thanks, Chair. It was the first letter about identifying specific Crown land parcels, and I seem to remember staff has that somewhere on a to-do list. If from some time, if they could have a refresher, perhaps.
Thank you. Staff, did you want to address that?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, there is a past board directive to consider how the regional district could do an analysis of public lands in general, and how they might be leveraged for housing projects, and that is on the planning division's work list.
Thank you. Anything from any of the other letters? Director McMahon?
Yes, I was just curious about Bill 26 as to the impacts it's going to have on us, mainly around public hearings, I would imagine. But I just wondered if the corporate officer had any comments on that.
So I just directors, that's page 18 in the letter from, who is this one from? This would be from the Assistant Deputy Minister for Municipal Affairs. Corporate officer?
Thank you, Chair. So we are starting to explore some of the implications of that, and this just recently came to our attention. My understanding is that we don't expect it to be fully adopted until the spring 2022, so we do have some time, and we do anticipate there may be some changes as a result.
Thank you. Director Toth?
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to let everybody know that I am still here. My computer's blue screened on me, and I've been kicked out of the meeting, so I'll be back digitally as soon as I can.
Thank you. Well, you are taking part verbally, so you are still in the meeting, okay? Anything further, Director McMahon? Thank you. Anything further on the other letters? Director Hiltz? I can tell when you're looking for that hand.
Where am I? I'm on page 19. It's the code of conduct piece. And let me move this closer. I'm just wondering about the sort of the intersection between the director's roles and the code of conduct. And I seem to remember somewhere in the past that we're working on that somewhere, but I'm not sure if there's a current resolution. If staff had anything to say about what are we calling them, the director's responsibilities or something like that in the code of conduct, and is there something could something come together with those pieces, I guess, is what I'm wondering about.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, I do believe we have a resolution on the books to develop a code of conduct, so that will be coming forward.
Thank you. Anything further from the correspondence? Director Beamish.
I'd just like to speak for a minute on the code of conduct. We are going through the same process with Gibson's, the code of conduct. And I think it's important that we have one. I recognize, however, that the UBCM, through our peers and senior staffs, has developed a model code of conduct. And I think they've done a very good job at it. And I'm having the same discussion with Gibson's, and that is that why should we tinker with it? Why should we try to make it different at this point in time? What I'd rather see is that we adopt the model code of conduct that has been done at good expense to UBCM through the work with the staff and consultants, and put in there a provision for a one-year review to see how it's working. Because that's the challenge, is how do these work? Notwithstanding the fact self-preservation, I'm hoping to do that with Gibson's, and I'd hate to have two codes of conduct that I was responsible to that are different. But it's something to think about, is that, we rely on UBCM for a lot of advice and information. They set up these committees, they do a lot of work. They put out reports and papers, and I think we should take a serious look at the code of conduct as it sits and see if there's a reason why we wouldn't adopt it as it's recommended. And then have a one-year review to see, okay, we've had this for a year. These are some of the challenges we've had with it and some amendments. Frankly, it's a policy. You can amend it at any time. You don't even have to wait for a year. So just my recommendation is that rather than kind of even go through the process of asking staff to develop a code of conduct, we have one. We have a model available to us. I think that should be our starting point at the minimum. So thank you.
Thank you. If you look on page 20 in the letter, the first full paragraph, it actually says additional guidance material will be provided to local governments when the changes are brought into force. So there might be something that UBCM has now, but that will be potentially a little bit modified by the province and put out.
Yeah, I don't know that could be.
Bill, can you use your microphone, please? We can't hear you if you don't have it on.
That may be what they're suggesting. It's not clear, or that's just a process. What they're asking us to do, actually, is adopt a code of conduct in public and be very transparent about it. So,
Oh, did you get back in? Okay, hang on. I have the power. Sorry, I just brought Director Toth back in. Director Beamish?
Chair, I'd like to go back to the first letter from Minister Eby. Have we accessed the housing hub as suggested in that letter with Raymond Kwan? Are we using that on the coast as a reference?
I don't know if the District of Sechelt has. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's if we're involved in a project and actually building a project, and we haven't personally built a project.
Okay. All right, yeah. So it might be something to gain some of our developers could look at, or the hospital.
Any other comments, questions, follow-up on the correspondence? Director Hiltz?
Yeah, last letter, I think it is on page 25. The two grants that are there, I seem to remember our community to community was deferred from last year, and there were going to be a reapplication. So confirming that that's going ahead. And does staff know anything about the 150 time grant? Like, is there room? Is this a place for local governments or the SCRD to apply? Like, I don't know anything about them. So if staff has any information about the status of applying for the C2C and then the 150 time grant. Thanks.
CAO?
Yeah, in terms of the 150 time and memorial grant program, I don't know much about that one. I'd have to look into it further. In terms of the community forum grant application, we were going to regroup and reapply at a future date. I don't know if GM Hall has any information I don't have, but to date, I don't think we've rescoped and reapplied for the C2C grant quite yet.
And no, the very collegial conversation at the staff level with the Sijar Nation was that we would look at this after COVID, which unfortunately we're not quite there yet, but soon we hope.
So perhaps we could ask staff to look into the 150 time immemorial grant program. It looks like something that potentially our HR department may be interested in bringing forward some training opportunities and educational opportunities for staff and directors. Would you like to make a recommendation?
Sure, I would be happy to make that recommendation that staff investigate the 150 time memorial grant and application for the regional district, yes.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that recommendation? Seconded. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just say that this is on the Human Resources Department's radar for this quarter of this year, and the grant looks very promising. So we'll see how things go in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're ahead of us. That's awesome. All right. Any other? So there's a recommendation on the floor. All those in favor? Thank you. All right. Anything further from the correspondence? Seeing no further items from the correspondence, I would look for a motion to adjourn. Sorry? Oh, director's reports? Do we have director's reports? Sorry, yes. It is on the agenda. I just kind of went right over it because there was nothing there. Director's reports. Okay, we're going to start at the end of the table. We'll start at the end of the table with Director Hiltz, then Beamish and Toth, and work our way around the table, and then we'll go to the directors online. Director Hiltz.
Thanks, Chair. So I'll start on the I'm sorry?
Wasn't for you, don't worry.
I just said thank you, Vice Chair. Keeping me in line already. It's awesome.
Okay, I'll start again. So only kind of issue that's kind of come up in the constituency is extending fire protection area into the unprotected areas north of the YMCA road in Langdale. And this morning at the Gibsons and District Fire Protection Commission meeting we had this morning, this will be a topic for April meeting of that commission to perhaps bring forth a budget proposal for 2023. So to look at that possibility. I want to say thanks to Town of Gibsons and Mayor Beamish for organizing the water dialogues. It was a good chance of information exchanging and yeah, looking forward to what's going to happen with that. Upcoming things, Grantham's Wharf annual, it's our annual general meeting season, so we have Grantham's Wharf, then followed by the West Howe Sound Community Association, and then what else is going on? Next, Remembrance Day, November 11th, I'll be at Gambier Island for the Anna Vets, which is the Army and Navy and Air Force Veterans Association. So I'll be there representing the SCRD. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Beamish?
Yes, thank you. I spent a lot of time organizing that workshop that we had yesterday. At one point in time, I saw 53 people present, which was really good to see. And the other thing I really appreciated was the participation by all of the Sunshine Coast, except for Director Toth.
Who didn't get the invite?
And everybody, had an opportunity to be there. And also the provincial government ministries, forest, highways, environment, came and they stayed, and they were present, and I appreciate that. And there was some good information exchange. We are looking at, I will be putting a report out, but in addition to that, all the presentations are being put on a website, so they're all available that were made at the meeting. And it was a good discussion in the room, and good information sharing. I hope coming from it, we will have more public information, public awareness. We talked about putting up some signs, identifying the watershed area. I'd like to see us harmonize some of our bylaws in that area so that development has the same kind of a approach above the town as they have in the town to protection of the watershed and protection of the aquifer. So those are things we can work on together. So thank you for that. And I've done very little else recently other than that, so thank you.
Thank you, Director Beamish. Director Toth?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a lot to report because I wasn't invited to the water dialogues, but I did want to report that I think the most important thing in the last week since we did our last report was in Sechelt. We did receive the Poverty Reduction Strategy Implementation Framework last night. Excuse me, we've referred that to the other organizations here on the coast, and we've also referred it to to Nicholas Simons as the Minister for Poverty Reduction. So it was a tough read. It was a little bit depressing to read and hit a little close to home given how I grew up. But it'll be really interesting to see how we can move forward with it in future work. I don't really have anything else to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Director McMahon?
Right. I'd like to thank everybody here for not putting in their hat for vice chair and thus leaving the space for me. It also has only been a week. I also attended the water dialogues and the fire commission meeting this morning. I just wanted to comment on two things. One is that UBCM has released their long-awaited report on short-term rentals. And I look forward to a conversation about whether or not their recommendations will work for the rural areas of regional districts, because I'm not sure from reading it. I'm still digesting the report, although there's a lot of good material in it. And my other big concern right now is stormwater. We need a response to stormwater and flooding problems before we have another state of emergency. So I think that's it from me, from Squelchy Elphinstone.
Thank you. Director Ties and then Director Lee.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have much to report. I was happy to see that the Roberts Creek Fire Department now has their new SCBA, and they were quite elated about it. And other than that, we had a pre-budget meeting, which can be found at your local YouTube channel if you want to tune into that. And yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you. Director Hiltz?
If Director Ties could say a little bit more about the pre-budget, was that for the fire department? Or?
No, that was just a pre-budget meeting on Monday.
Oh, here. Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Lee.
Thank you, Chair. It's only been a week since we last reported, so my list is a little small here, but I did attend the library meeting last Saturday, And I actually very much enjoy the library meetings. They're very well run. They're very well attended by all of the various groups. And I actually learn something each time. So if you guys ever have a chance, you should drop into one of them. It's how you should run one. It's great. I note there's an upcoming WASAC meeting Monday, and it's going to be in person here at the office. So I intend on coming down and attending because I believe that's about the only way you can attend anyways. So that's what I'm going to do with that one. I got to tell you, I really appreciate Councillor Paul attending our meetings. You're sure great to see you. Thank you. And the other thing I've been up to is I'm getting ready to present what I know about our various fire departments and specifically how they compare to the Egmont Fire Department. And really, as I get the presentation ready, I've learned to appreciate how well run it is and all the work that the SCRD staff do behind the scenes that we don't see. There's a lot of stuff there. Boy, there's a lot of details if you want to get into it, which it's not something I should be doing, but I did it anyways. And as a follow-up, just earlier today, Dean and I talked about the Gibsonson Area Fire Commission, and in my mind, I've been rolling it around as if something we should be adopting for our rural areas that don't have the improvement district model. Something we can consider. At least it would demonstrate to the fire chiefs and residents how much we do know and how much we appreciate them. So I think it's some discussion I hope we have in the future, but sure seems like something we should be considering. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Pratt?
Thank you. Has it only been a week since our last meeting? It feels like or since our last board meeting. I also attended the workshop yesterday and wanted to say thank you very much. In his capacity of Mayor Beamish, or Director Beamish at this table, it was very much appreciated the start of the dialogue and the diverse group of people that were at that table, and really appreciated that. And it was a really good conversation, a really good start. And of course, we all saw each other on Monday at the at our budget meetings, our pre-budget meetings. So I'm glad that we worked hard that day and got it all done, got 2 days done in one. So thank you very much, Chair Seegers, for putting us through our paces there and getting us done. And thank you to staff for all the prep work that you did to get us all up to speed and know so we were really clear on what was being asked for. I just wanted to just say again what a pleasure it's been, what an honor, and how much gratitude I have for having been your chair the past 3 years. I was really grateful to be there, and it was not an easy decision to not run this time, and it was really, really tough not to do that. But I just knew I could not give it the attention and the time that it and the commitment that this community deserves. So sometimes it doesn't matter how much you want something, you just can't do it. With that, I would also I've already talked to Chair Seegers about this before, about in making sure that we do have that the vice chair is brought in on things, because with having the chair being also the mayor and also the regional hospital district chair in this case, we need to really make sure that we have an inclusive and diverse voice at the tables as much as possible and bringing people in. So that is something that she knows I'll be on her heels about and be in her ear about all through the through the year to make sure that the entire Sunshine Coast is being included on any regional district items. And with that, just my hands up again to you all. It's been an incredibly I've felt very privileged the last 3 years and continue to feel privileged to be at this table. So even virtually, but thank you all.
Thank you, Director Pratt. Director Paul.
I thank you, Lori, for your services, and I'm here to support you in any ways I can as a friend outside of the table. And in that, I have just been really reappointed to the table of the district RD, and in the short week since our last meeting, we've had a general meeting, we've had new appointments, and we will be having a by-election in regards to our CAO leaving over a month ago, and one of our team has resigned from her council duty, and we've appointed her for the remainder of our term as the CAO. So formerly Councilmember Barbara Jean Joe will be new CAO for the remainder of our term. And yeah, we've had meetings on the House of Clans, Shanice project, about 3 months behind schedule, but hopefully we can catch up with that. There's been labor shortages and supply issues due to COVID, and we have a Sainco Development Corporation AGM coming, and then the nation's AGA and budgets coming. So we're busy every way you turn. It's been quite crazy, but we're managing what we can. Thank you all.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to acknowledge Chair Pratt, former Chair Pratt, Director Pratt. You've really been there for us as a regional board. And as I said in my little speech, we have moved a lot of the projects forward that we came in recognizing needed attention. So thank you for that. I know it's been a difficult time over the last few years with everything else we've been dealing with. So thank you again. So my report. Tonight starts the Talk to Your Local Government series again with Eastlink Community TV. So it'll start tonight and run through June. We're doing them via Zoom at this point still because they're not bringing the students back together. Tomorrow is a full day of legal information from one of our lawyers. It's available to anybody who registers basically from the community in the government section. If you would like to come and take part, let me know and we can make sure that you get access to some of that. There's some good sessions there. Reminder about the Seashell Aquatic Center open house tomorrow night from 7 till 9. And next week is Remembrance Day. I know that a number of us will be laying wreaths at the Remembrance Day celebrations. We don't yet know what the interaction with the community will look like. The last I talked to the Legion, they were waiting to hear back from their Yukon, BC executive about what those protocols would be like. So they're hoping to get that information out so that people in the community can attend or not, depending on what happens. At the District of Sechelt, we had a council meeting last night, and there were a couple of things that happened there. The Ebb Tide rental building has been adopted. The zoning and OCP amendments have been adopted. So they'll be moving forward with building that facility. Trail Avenue is pretty much done. Reconstruction done there. The tender will be going out before the end of November for the airport lighting. The Operations Center, we will be seeing a presentation beginning of December as to what that Operations Center will look like. Looking forward to seeing that moving forward. It's been a long time that our staff have been working in trailers and tents. Wharf Avenue sidewalk improvements. Public posting of the tender is anticipated this month. That's the block right by the lights, does not have sidewalks going down the whole side. That will be put in. That's part, we've got 100% funding for that. I think that's it. All right. Thank you very much. That is our director's reports. There is no new business. Now I can look for a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded, all in favor. Thank you. There are no attendees for questions. Staff, did we get any email? No. Okay, no, thank you very much. See you at the next meeting. Good day.